I'm Tess Wicks, host of the Words of Money podcast, and welcome to the first episode of our vlogcast, video podcast, whatever you want to call it. I'm so excited for this new series of sorts. I'm still interviewing women on Thursdays on the podcast. You can find it on iTunes, Stitcher, or at tesswicks.com. But if you want to check out the videos of me spewing money education on you, you can head to YouTube and check out the new vlogcast that we have going on there. Otherwise, you can listen to this exact episode on the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, and tesswicks.com. I'm so excited about this because it puts a face to my voice, so you guys know what I look like and how I act in front of the camera, which is pretty weird. But today, we are on episode 40. Woo! And this is going to go right in line with all the rest of the episodes. So the next episode coming up is 41 with the wonderful Daniela of the new application Reel It. And it is about how you can afford that designer bag or designer shoes without going into debt. So you have to check that out. But today on episode 40, we're going to be talking about how to find money in order to pay off debt faster. So we're talking about how to find extra money in order to pay off debt faster than you could have ever imagined before. Now, the first thing I need to start with is to line up all of your debts and make sure you're meeting those minimum payments. So you need to do this for a couple reasons. First, just to start a good habit of making sure you're paying your debt, but also if you don't make your minimum payments, it can cost you, not only on your credit score, but also on interest and whatnot. That doesn't mean that interest doesn't accumulate. If you do make your minimum payments, it's still accumulating, but you need to at least make the minimum. So go make sure you're doing that. All right, the first thing we're gonna do is we're going to look at how much money you're making, how much money you're bringing home. Now, don't be like, Tess, my salary's $50,000, because that might be what you negotiated, but that's not your take-home pay. So the easiest way to figure out your take-home pay is to look at your pay stub, or just check your bank account. If you have direct deposit, just check the bank account and total up how much per month your company is paying you, putting into your bank account, all right? So this is the pay that you get, that $50,000, but it takes out your taxes, your retirement, your insurance, all that good stuff. Maybe you even have like a pre-tax transportation deduction, whatever it is, it's all taken out, and now you have your take-home pay. So check that pay stub or just look at your bank and add it up. We need to know how much money you're making before we can go on seeing how much extra money you need or how much extra money you can find to go towards your debt. All right. The next thing we're gonna do is look at your absolute necessary expenses, and these are your living expenses. So how much does it cost you to live where you live so that you can do your job? That might be your rent or your mortgage payment, your utility payments, your cell phone bill, your internet bill, your insurance. That could be either renter's insurance or homeowner's insurance, depending on your situation. But also if you own a car, it'll be your car insurance, as well as any car payments that you need to be making. So the other thing that you need to include in the absolute minimum living expenses are the total of the minimum payments on your debt, because you absolutely need to pay that. So let's add all of those up. Sit down and think of, what do I absolutely need to be paying in expenses? What comes out of my bank account that is absolutely necessary in order for me to live my life? So this isn't the dinners out with the girlfriends. This is like absolutely need. And don't consider food right now. I know you're thinking like, well, I gotta eat, but we'll fix that in a little bit because that can get a little tricky. So just think of absolutely need in order to like live in my home, okay? So those are your fixed or almost fixed absolute expenses. Set that aside. So far we have our total take-home pay and then the expenses that come out. And I'm saying monthly, so just calculate for a month what it costs you to live. That's your absolute need. Next, we're gonna look at variable expenses. They're variable because they're not absolutely necessary, and you could probably vary them. You could cut it off if you needed to. Like, I don't need these really nice gourmet dinners. I could just eat ramen noodles if I had to. Now, I'm not asking you to go that far, but let's think about, so these are going to be things like your grocery bill, your restaurant bills, your coffee bills. That's my problem. But also, how much do you spend at Target when you end up finding yourself in there? How much do you spend shopping? How much do you spend on entertainment? Like if you're a huge movie buff or if you're super into concerts. Add up all of those expenses. These are kind of like the fun expenses, and figure out what that is. Now, look at how much you're spending on food, and specifically groceries, and take a chunk of that is absolutely necessary and move that to the absolutely need pile. But everything else, as far as like restaurants, going out to eat and stuff, and maybe if you're shopping at like Whole Foods instead of Aldi's or even Trader Joe's, those are some places where we could think twice about. All right? So your variable expenses are more of the fun, sort of frivolous things. Even travel could go in that bucket if it's not absolutely necessary. So now we have kind of what it costs us to live and how much we can afford for that. The next thing you're going to do is find the drains in your budget. So with the variable expenses in particular, you're going to look at what it's costing you to go out all the time, some of the lifestyle choices that you're making that are causing living to be a little bit more expensive. This is the first place we can start with figuring out if we can take the money that we're spending there and maybe apply it to our debt. So the reason why I wanted you to add up all of the amount of money that you take home in a month is because if we can find some savings of $100 even every single month that we used to be spending on takeout coffee or on takeout food or on Grubhub delivery, all of that money we could possibly eliminate without getting too uncomfortable and put towards our debt. So that is the first place I want you to look. What can I shave off just for the time being to blast away my debt? The next thing you can do is go on a spending freeze and stop spending. Now, perhaps you make this your number one, but not all of us can completely stop spending in order to live life and go forward. But one thing, if you're really having trouble with consumer and credit card debt, is you can take your credit card and you can just cut it in half, right? Just cut it up so you can't use it anymore. Or another one you can do is freeze it in a block of ice. So if you ever need to swipe the credit card, it's in the freezer and there's not much you can do about it for the next few hours at least. So do something that gets you to stop spending, and that will keep you from accumulating more debt while you're really trying to blast away the other debt. And it'll allow you to really assess how much you have spent and where you can, find those cash drains and be able to save that money in order to go towards your debt instead of going towards, that $48 bottle of wine that you split with your girlfriends last Thursday. Now, I'm not saying you can't have any fun, because I hate it when people put limitations on me. So I'm not trying to put limitations on you. Get your take-out coffee or grab a bottle of wine from the grocery store and bring it home and invite your girlfriends over. Do little small tweaks that can help you save a little bit of money now so you can live a bigger life later. All right, my favorite tip is all about making extra money and making more money. So the first thing you can do for this is to negotiate a higher salary. This is the biggest thing you can do, and it'll give you the biggest amount of money in the least amount of time. It's literally sitting down in maybe an annual review or a semi-annual review with your manager and saying, look, this is the value I provide, this is all the work that I've done, here's proof of my value and what I've been contributing to the organization. Let's talk about possible salary increases into the future. Now, if you want step-by-step how to do it, I interviewed Bridget Eastgard in episode 19, and she helped us walk through it in such a way that is so, so helpful. You have to check it out. You can also check out episode 38 with Amanda Berlin. She's the communication master, so we also have a little bit of salary and other negotiation talk in that episode too. But those episodes are really gonna help you boost your bottom line and increase that salary. All right, some other ways you can make money I share in a blog post called 5 Simple Ways to Make More Money. And if you just Google Tess Wicks and then say making money is simple or 5 simple ways to make money, you'll find it, it'll be at the top of the list. And these are just some of my other ways you can make money. One is salary negotiation, but I also talk about selling some of your stuff that you have that you no longer value online, or renting out your spare bedroom on Airbnb or on Craigslist. There are other things that you can do that will definitely bring in more income. You can also check out episode 36 with Carrie Smith Nicholson, who talks all about freelance writing and how you can find freelance jobs. It doesn't even have to be writing in order to make extra money. So what I want you to do once you start making extra money is use that money to go straight towards your debt. All right, so pretend like it doesn't exist and just shove it towards that debt balance. When you do that, your debt will decrease faster than you ever thought it could possibly decrease. And this is my absolute favorite way to blast away debt, is to make extra money. So no longer do I have to cut out my takeaway coffee because I'm making more money, and that money is just going towards debt. Okay, so stop the spending, make extra money if you can, and then if you really are pinched, you can go and look at some of those budget drains and cash drains to see what's causing the big issues and save money there to go towards your debt. So hopefully this is clear for you. It gives you some idea or at least some motivation to start getting that extra cash, finding it somewhere in your budget, or finding it out in the world to make more and putting it towards your debt so we can really hit that goal of eliminating and getting that balance to zero. I'm so happy you decided to hang out with me. I'm so happy we got to meet face to face, or at least you got to meet my face. And now you get to see the first video or vlogcast of this new series on Mondays, which will be dedicated to educating you on making better financial decisions. Stay tuned for next week. We're going to do another debt payoff video, but it's all about how to organize your debt and which debt to prioritize first. There's a couple different ways you can do it, and I can't wait to talk you through it next week. Until next time, I'll see you later.